What is going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video, my sports Gematria. This video, I'm going to go over a UFC fight for Saturday, June 11th, 2022. I'm going to show you highlights of each side, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks today. Let's go ahead and get into the lineup here for the match. We're going to be looking at UFC 275. Just a fair warning ahead of time, I'm most likely going to butcher everybody's names on this card. I'm just really bad with speech in general. I try and practice it, but I don't know. I'm just really bad at it. So Teixeira versus Prochazka. See, when I try, it just sounds so dumb. My confidence level goes down. But I'm going to be looking at, we're going to go over all 5 fights here for the main card. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm just going to go over them really quickly. I'm not going to spend too much time on each one. We're going to look at each one. I'll give you both sides, but I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. I don't want to make this a long video. And so, which brings me to this. My daily numbers are on this side of the screen. Date numerology, Gregorian Hebrew calendar. And then the game numbers are on this side of the screen. The way that I have it structured here is I have the event up top here, the location. Well, location's all right here, the stadium and the place that it's at, the class, the weight class, Gematria. Then I have one fighter right here, his name Gematria, his birthday to and from, his fight record, any type of win or losing streak that he might be on, as well as the UFC record. In the middle is the head-to-head between the two last names, Gematria. At the bottom is the other fighter. His name Gematria, his birthday to and from, his fight record, any type of win or losing streak that he's on, and his UFC record. So let's go ahead and start with this first fight here. Jump right into it. So we have Ramazan Emev. I thought that was a Y. Ramazan Emev versus Jack Della Maddalena. I'm really bad with names, you guys. I don't do it on purpose. I really don't. I'm just how I am with my speech. There's people that make fun of the way I say numbers too. The last video, someone made fun of the way I said 66. So it's not just names, it's just words in general. All right, starting with this first fight. If Emev, this guy right here, if he's going to win this fight, some numbers that would favor him to win this fight would be it being 20 or total span of 21 days since his last birthday. He can go from 20 to 21 wins for his career. His opponent, Jack Della Maddalena, his full name written out sums to 111. And Jack can sit on 11 wins for his career as he ends his 11-fight winning streak with the loss, as it becomes 1-1, like an 11 for a UFC record in his career. So that would help Emev along with the 21 and 20 or total span of 21 days since his last birthday. And then this fight is taking place in Singapore Indoor Stadium, which sums to 113. And Jack could become 11-3, like 113, for a record in his career with the loss. And so that's what I would contribute for Emev to win this fight. If Jack was going to win this fight, one thing that could help him is that it's 275 days since his last birthday. This is UFC 275, 275 days since his last birthday. You know, Emev, he can sit on 20 wins for his career with the loss, 20 days from his last birthday, as Jack becomes 2-0, like 20 for a UFC record with the win. And I think that would would go in favor for Jack in this scenario, him becoming 2-0 like 20, is the fact that it's 275 days since his last birthday. Why do I say that? 275 is just an anagram of 257. 275, 257, they're just anagrams of each other. But 257 is the 55th prime number. And if Jack were to become 2-0 for a UFC record, 275 days since his birthday at UFC event 275, you can type out the number 20. 20 sums to 55. 257, the 55th prime, which is just an anagram of 275. So, and then the 12, Jack would get his 12th win for his career to go with. 12 sums to 24. And it'll be a day with 24 date numerology on the Gregorian. One thing I do have to say about the Gregorian that I didn't say starting off is this is in Singapore. So these fights are going to take place 9 p.m. my time, my code, but I'm my code, my time zone. I'm a little toasty right now too. Sorry guys. So in my time zone, it's going to be 12 hours ahead. In Singapore, it's going to be the next day. It's going to be Sunday. It's going to be in the morning is when these fights take place. So I'm using date numerology for the day of the event where the location is taking place. I did this with the last UFC event, or I think it was the boxing match, or maybe it was both of them, but I think it was the boxing match in Australia. But the location is going to be Sunday the 12th. And Sunday the 12th has 24 date numerology. And 12 sums to 24. Jack can get his 12th win for his career. So that's both sides in a nutshell. He would get his 12th win in a row. You can say 12th win in a row as he gets his 12th win for his career. His first 2 losses came in his first 2 fights of his career. So that would be Jack winning. And then also written out the number 20. Right at the number 20. It sums to 55. Also sums to 26. And it will be Amir's 26th fight. So he can sit on that 20th win. 20 sums to 26, potentially. But he also could become 6-2 for a UFC record, which is just a reflection of 26. So that's both sides for that fight. Let's go to the next one here. We're going to be looking at Jake Matthews versus Andre Fialo. Fialo versus Matthews. So if we're going to start with Matthews, Jake Matthews, if he's going to win this fight, today's the day with 18 date numerology on the Gregorian. He can get his 18th win for his career. Doesn't have to be any harder than that. Andre, this is his 22nd fight for his career. It's taking place in Kallang, Singapore. Kallang sums to 22, his 22nd fight. He could become 2-2, like 22, for a UFC record with a loss. And then he would become 16-5 for a record in his career with a loss. And if you write down number 22 written out sums to 165. And that's what I would contribute to a potential upset by Jake Matthews. If Andre was going to win this fight, it could be a little bit more sneakier. 66 days since Andre's birthday. Fialo versus Matthews sums to 66. Jake Matthews can get a 6th loss for his career as he gets his 6th loss in the UFC. If you write out the number 6, sums to 16. Jake's 16th UFC fight. The 17-4 though, I'm not too sure with Andre. I couldn't figure out anything. I mean, he could get a 17th win for his career. Jake can sit on 17 wins for his career with a loss. The only thing I can think of would be the 31. Andre can get his 17th win for his career as he becomes 3-1 for a UFC record with the win, like 31. The reason for that is 17, 31. They share this 134 number. And today has 18 date numerology on the Gregorian, and 18 written out sums to 143, which is just an anagram of 134. So it's not really direct, it's more indirect, but that could be something for Andre to win this fight. Let's go ahead and go on to the next one. Zhang Wheely versus Joanna Jedzitsk. I Forgive me on that one. So starting with Joanna, if Joanna was going to win this fight, well, her opponent, her name, Zhang Wheely, sums to 114. Joanna could become 11-4 for a UFC record with a win, like 114. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. 21st fight for Joanna could keep Zhang on 21 wins for her career with a loss. And similar to Andre Fialo becoming 17-4, I couldn't really find anything for Joanna in the 17-4. Not really. So either I'm missing something for both those two fights, or I just can't find the connection really for the 17-4. Not totally, anyway. But what else? I think that was it for Joanna. Not a whole lot. It really comes. I think it would come down to the 114 if they want it to be 114 or not, and she becomes 11-4. Zhang has some numbers in her favor, sort of, kind of similar to the numbers that Jake would have in his favor. Would be the 22 pattern. It's very interesting how both these fights have the same numbers, which kind of makes it hard. But if Zhang was going to win, it'd be getting her 22nd win for her career as she ends her 2-fight losing streak, as she sits on 2 UFC losses with the win, as Joanna gets her 2nd loss in a row. So you see all these 2s here, and then we already know that the number 22 written out, because of the last fight we just talked about it, 22 sums to 165, and Joanna could become 16-5 as she gets her 2nd loss in a row for her career, as Zhang ends her 2-fight losing streak like 2-2 as she gets her 22nd win for her career. 2-2-2, bunch of 22s, 22 sums to 165. Similar to Andre becoming 16-5 in his 22nd fight, 2-2 for the UFC. So these 2 fights right here, the Zhang Wheely, Joanna Jedrzejczyk, I butchered that one, Andre Fialo, and Jake Matthews, they're the same numbers relatively. And you can even do it for the UFC record too. On the Hebrew Civil calendar, there's 105 date numerology on the Hebrew Civil. Joanna could become 10-5 for a UFC record with a loss, 10-5. And if you look at Jake Matthews is already 10-5. He comes in 10-5, like 105 on a day with 105 date numerology with the Hebrew Civil. So a lot of similar numbers between these 2 fights. And one last thing for Zhang, it's 62 days till her next birthday. 62 days, and she could become 6-2 for a UFC record with a win, like 62. So let's move on to the next fight, the co-main event. Tayla Santos versus Valentina Chevinsko. Forgive me. But if Tayla Santos is going to win this fight, it could just come down to the weight class, meaning women's flyweight sums to 201. Women's flyweight, 201. Tayla Santos, she could become 20-1, like 201 with the win in her career. Kalong sums to 22. Singapore Indoor Stadium sums to 113. Valentina could sit on 22 wins for her career with a loss, as she becomes 11-3, like 113 for a UFC record with a loss. Those would be the numbers I would favor Tayla with. Also, one last thing, Chevinsko versus Santos sums to 94. And 94 written out comes to 51. Tayla Santos could become 5-1, like 51 for a UFC record with a win. And so those would be her numbers. Valentina was going to win this fight. I would go right back to the 94. Chavenko versus Santos sums to 94. Valentina can get her 9th win in a row as Tayla Santos ends her 4-fight win streak, like 94. And then Valentina would become 23-3 for a fight record in her career, like 233. 233 is the 51st prime number, and we already know that the number 94 sums to 51. So instead of Santos becoming 5-1, Valentina could become 23-3, 233, the 51st prime number, as she gets her 9th win in a row, ends Tayla Santos's 4-fight winning streak. And then the one last thing would be Valentina would get her 23rd win, 23 written out. 23 written out sums to 163, and it is the 163rd day of the Gregorian civil side of the calendar. So those are both sides for that matchup. And then we go on to the main event. Glover Teixeira versus Jari Prochazka. Prochazka. So if Jari or Jari, I'm sorry. I sound so stupid, I know. I just laugh at myself. That's all I can do at this point. You can laugh at me too if you want. I'll join you. Jari, this is his 33rd fight for his career. He can sit on 3 losses for his career with a win and his 3rd UFC fight. So we kind of have this 3-3-3 thing going on. And then Glover would sit on 33 wins for his career with a loss, as he sits on 16 wins for his UFC record with a loss. 16 written out sums to 33. So it could be a 33 or a 3 pattern for Jari. Also, Jari could become 3-0 for a UFC record with a win like 30. And if you write out the number 30, 30 sums to 62. And with the win, he would become 29-3-1. Well, if you just focus, if you don't worry about the draw, if you just look at the win and the loss, 29-3. 29-3 is the 62nd prime number. So he could become 3-0 like 30 for the UFC. 30 sums to 62 as he becomes 29-3 for a record. 29-3, the 62nd prime number. He is 29 years old. He is coming up on his 30th birthday. 241 days since his 29th birthday. 124 days till his 30th birthday. 241, 124. They're just anagrams of each other. And you have this 29 here and this 30 here. He can get his 29th win. He could become 3-0 like 30 for a UFC record. That would be Jari's numbers to win this fight. If Glover Teixeira was going to hit the upset, it would be based off a calendar that I completely made up. So on the Gregorian civil side of the calendar, it's the 163rd day. But on the Gregorian religious side of the calendar that I modeled after the Hebrew calendar, because the Hebrew calendar has 2 sides, the Hebrew civil and the Hebrew religious. The Hebrew civil it starts around the fall time, and it changes the overall year. The Hebrew religious starts around the springtime, and it does not change the overall year. The Gregorian civil starts around winter, and it changes the overall year. The Gregorian religious starts in summertime, and it does not change the overall year. So you have the 4 crosses, basically. But anyway, long story short, on the Gregorian religious side, it'll be the 347th day for that particular calendar that I completely made up. Glover Teixeira could become 34-7 for a fight record in his career, like 347 or 347 on the 347th day. So there's potential there for that. He would sit on 7 losses for his career with the win, as he gets his 7th win in a row for his career, kind of like a 7-7 pattern. And if you write out the number 77, 77 sums to 175 or 175, and he would become 17-5 for a UFC record in his career with a win. And then for Jari, he would become 28-4-1 for a fight record in his career with a loss. Focusing on the 28-4 part, just because this is UFC 275. And if you write out that number 275, it sums to 283, and it sums to 284. Well, Jari comes in to this fight 28-3-1, so like a 283. He comes in 28-3-1. 275 sums to 283. And with the loss, he could become 28-4-1. And 275 sums to 283 and 284. So it could just be a stepping stone with a loss for Jari. And then their last names versus Gematria sums to 231. 231 is the 21st triangular number. And Jari would become 2-1, like 21 for a UFC record with a loss to go with. And that would be both sides for that one. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you some insight to these matches here for in the US, it's for Saturday night. but it's going to be in Singapore, so it's going to be Sunday, the 12th. So I wish you guys the best of luck. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully this gives you insight, like I was saying. Hopefully this adds to a decode that you have. Maybe it gets you started on a decode, or just contrast and compare notes. Don't hesitate to add anything in the comments below. And I wish you guys the best of luck on all your picks. Hopefully you win all the money in the world. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you.